I do travel the world. I spent 8 weeks in Canada. I'm preparing to go to India and what have you, which I've never been before, but I'm thrilled that they want me to tour the country.
Americans don't realize you had a TV show in Canada for 5 years?
5.5 years. That was seen around the world. It's no longer. Now, it was called The Amazing World of Kreskin. It started at CTV in Ottawa, went to Toronto, then was in this country as a half-hour series, then went worldwide, and now, talk about your life coming back today, you can't hide it. Hulu has bought 30 of the half hours. If you go on it, they actually got sponsors for 30 half hours of the 5.5 years of television. But while there's not time in most of my shows here at the Riviera to do this, in my full evening shows, there's a feature that in the movie The Great Buck Howard is a fabric of the story. As Tom Hanks said to me, he said, you know, John Malkovich studied you for days, all the mannerisms. He's got my handshake, which Regis Philbin says my handshake is the dream of every chiropractor on the face of the earth. But anyway, in the movie, there's a factor involved, which is in all my full evening concerts. I turn my check over to my audience. I leave the theater. And you probably saw me do this years ago. I do it to this day. My check is hidden by a committee from the audience. I'm out of the theater guarded. Or in another room where they can establish I don't know what's going on. Now, if it's a state fair, like the Minnesota State Fair was 18,000 people. The Oregon State Fair was 22,000. Well, I'm outdoors, so what they did is they took me into a trailer. There were a lot of guards inside with me to verify I couldn't hear, the shades were down, everything. And my check is hidden anywhere within the theater or the audience setting. Carnegie Hall, you had 4 balconies. When I return, there's no conversation. It's not some kind of magic trick. The committee has to concentrate on what they've done and never speak to me again. And if I don't find my fee, I don't get paid. A hell of a way to make a living. People say, have I ever failed? Yeah, I failed 9 times. And someone could say, well, that's not many out of 6,000. Not many? Can I ever forget one of my favorite countries? I performed there many times, New Zealand. And the first time there, I failed at a Coliseum. There was a press conference taking place the next morning, broadcast live throughout the entire nation live, because the money was going to a crippled children's hospital, which they named the wing after me. But I lost that night $51,000. So anybody that thinks this is a gimmick, and as they say in the movie, you know, electronic devices, one of the themes is ideas that Kreskin has not a road manager with him traveling, which would normally be the case, but another person traveling around the world on another plane and radioing him from the audience. Yeah, that's all can be done today. I can show you in pamphlets where for $8,000 you could imitate Kreskin, buy these electronic devices and what have you. Well, as they said at the end of the movie, there's never been any evidence that I use Confederate secret assistance electronic devices. And with the movie coming out, in this book, I dropped my $50,000 offer to anyone who can prove I have paid Confederates as secret assistance or use electronic devices hidden. I no longer offer that. I now offer, to the last day I'm on earth, $1 million. Everyone I know in broadcast I've been close to, and some have been producers for years. I can't tell how many of them call me on the phone and say, hey, Kreskin, you want me to put up the money? And I know what they're saying. They say, we know you don't do this, so we'll put up the money. But that'll answer all these things said about me, because I have done it as legitimately as I can. And Cindy Adams, who's a famous writer in New York with the New York Daily Post, and has written for years and been on television, also media coverage. When the movie came out, The Great Buck Howard, she said, if you think this is a gimmick, I was a conduit of Kreskin. And Robin Leach is here. I'm going to see him tonight, but he'll never forget the story. He had the show The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, came to my home and all this jazz. And I said at the end, I said, Robin, I got another segment. He says, no, we only do 2 segments. We do 3 celebrities a week when the show was on. He said, what do you want to do? I told him. He says, you're out of your mind, which a lot of people believe. I try to support that. I said, no, I'd like to do it. He says, you know what? We'll add that as 2 more segments, but if you fail, we won't show it. I looked him in the eye and I said, give me your word, if I fail, you will show it. The only way I've been able to keep the integrity of my career is I've treated it like live concerts or live television. There's no turning back What you see is what you get. So when I met Cindy Adams in a limousine, they drove me to New York, and there were a couple of dozen police cars, what have you, to ward off traffic. She never spoke to me, and the challenge was I only could talk to the driver. She sat at the other end of the limo, and she concentrated. I had to tell the driver to start the car, and we're to turn, because I had to find Robin Leach. He was hiding somewhere in the entire city of New York. It was crazy. The police told me later on, they said, "You're out of your damn mind, Kreskin." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, we didn't know where he was. We had to follow you. You're going down one-way streets the wrong way. What we could do is stop this traffic," because I wasn't paying attention to traffic. And we finally entered in an old building, and to wrap up this whole interview, I went up to the elevator and slammed my fist into the wall and walked out. And the camera crew and Cindy Adams said, "What the hell? We didn't know what happened to you." I had a number in my mind, but the elevator went only to 12 floors. I looked up and said, "Wait a minute, this is a bigger building. That's not the only elevator." I said, "Cindy, come in the elevator." Went to whatever the floor was, walked along, found another hidden elevator and went higher, because my mind told me to go higher, but the elevator didn't seem to do that. Went to the rooftop, and there was a private gymnasium there, a sports club, but it was closed. It was the morning. And I stood in front of an Olympic swimming pool for 5 minutes. To this day, Cindy ended up saying to me, "I don't know what the hell was the matter with you." He wasn't in there. I finally said, "Let's go to that door." We went to the door, opened it. It was a private bar. They were cleaning up. It was too early, cleaning glasses. There's a man draped over the bar. He looked like he was drunk. I said, "Cindy, come with me." And I went over and put my hand on his shoulder. And Robin Leach sat up and said, "Get out the champagne." I found him in 42 minutes in the city of New York. And Cindy said, "You know, we were out there." He said, "What do you mean?" He was standing looking at the swimming pool, and Robin Leach jumped up and said, "Get another bottle of champagne." She said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When they radioed me the search was starting, I changed into my bathing suit, thought it'd be dramatic for you to find me swimming, and swam for half an hour. Got waterlogged, so I got to clean up and dry, and went there. And here I kept imagining him in that swimming pool." That's what I do for a living.
Would you describe your show as a magic show?
No, nobody does. No one in all the television appearances I've done in the past 4, no one has ever used the word trick. Once or twice, and Carson would say, "What are you talking about?" Or Mike Douglas. No, it is a show dealing with the mind. It's a dramatic excursion, entertainment, because I use drama in it. I have other skills of showmanship. I can handle cards dramatically, but as I showed, I can also transfer a high sensitivity of touch in someone cutting a deck of cards, and they cut exactly. My work deals with the mind. It's an entertainment. I use the term mentalist, but people say, Margaret Mead said that's not adequate. And a lot of people in the business say, "But what am I going to try to describe what a sensitive is?" But on stage, I'm an entertainer. I'm not giving out advice, and I'm not a fortune teller.
Not clairvoyant? Do you feel clairvoyant?
Well, every year I've made dramatic predictions, but I have to explain, because of the thousands of letters I get and mail all over the world now from everywhere. I'm getting a tremendous amount of mail from Poland, from Russia, from the Middle Eastern countries. Television has no barriers. People have to realize I'm not in a position to foretell someone's future, because I travel. CNN in 1971 came to me and said, "We've had astrologers and everything else, but you're spending so much time around the world. Maybe you're getting an intuitive feeling, like a weatherman who makes predictions every day because they're looking at what's going on." I use my unconscious mind to get a second opinion, and a lot of times it's right. But I've read over 1,000 biographers. I read 4 books a night. My library's over 9,000. If anybody ever says to any of you looking in, they're bored, you're looking at a boring person, pick up a damn book and read, and you can change your voyage on life.